Hello everyone, we're back. And today I actually have James with me.
So good to be here.
What a nice treat for you guys, not just me. Anyway, today I'm going to talk about our favorite thing, biking. Because if you want to learn how to save thousands of dollars, start biking. Because according to AAA, owning and driving a car will cost you up to $12,000 a year. While owning and biking will cost you about $350 a year. You do the math. That's pretty good.
And they've really figured that out here in Sweden. Where in Stockholm, where we live, oh my gosh, how many people bike. And they bike all year round. Of course, in the summer, tons of people, but even when the rain and the snow,
yeah,
people bike and get around that way here.
Yeah, and the biking, like we have all over the city, and we have bike lanes and stuff like that. So it's like biking in Sweden, and especially in Stockholm, for being a major city, it's very, very easy. But I have to say, even when we lived in San Diego, we biked, and I would not call San Diego bike friendly whatsoever. Between the potholes and the cars who just didn't know what to do with you, and the lack of bike lanes, San Diego was definitely an adventure when it comes to biking. But we did it. So anyway, we're gonna just give you some tips on how to bike in the city with kids, and also how to do it in all weathers. Okay, so let's start with a bike. So a bike, you do not need to buy a brand new bike. I would say that there are plenty of people who sell bikes, but you want to make sure you get the right bike for whatever weather, but also for what kind of biking you're planning to do. If you're planning to bike more on dirt roads and out in the forest or whatever, then you should have a different bike compared to if you want to bike in the city. So do your research and figure out what kind of bike you want. We have city bikes. And I would say that for me, I do not have a fancy bike, and I do not have a lot of gears. It used to be a time in my life when I thought I had to have 20 gears, and I learned very quickly that 20 gears just means that you have a bigger chance of actually them breaking. I have 3 gears and I do fine, and I bike a lot. I would say that if you buy a used bike, there are a lot of people who will sell their bikes because, well, it has a flat tire or the chain is not working, and those things are very easy to fix. Yeah, so those are get buys.
When you're thinking about a bike, the one thing I would think about is your tires, right? So think about the kind of weather you're going to go in. Racing bikes have those really thin tires. They're awesome, they're really fast, but totally don't work in when it starts to get slippery or snowy, right? I've got the kind of medium thick tires, which are pretty great for all year round, but they even have really bikes with thick tires for people if you're going to do a lot of biking in snow.
And I also have to say that find a good place to take your bike in for tune-up, because tuning up your bike yearly would actually make sure, especially when you live like us in a cold climate where it rains and snows on the bike, because this will make sure that the bike will actually stay good for a very long time, and probably forever. Yeah, and safe. That is the most important, because it is nothing fun when you get a flat tire when you're out biking, or if your chain falls off. But I also was encourage everyone to go out and figure out how, actually Google and learn how to fix a chain or how to fix a tire, because it's actually not that hard. It is messy, but it's not that hard to actually fix it, and you can save a lot of money if you do it yourself. So let's talk about, so we have figured out about the bikes. Now we're going to talk about the gear we need for the bike. Obviously, you need a helmet. And this is something we do not buy used, because, you never know what this helmet's been through. But I would say that having a helmet that fits and it's safe and it's actually certified, is really important. Do not skimp when it comes to your helmet. This is your safety thing. So we like these helmets where you can actually adjust and make it bigger or smaller, especially for the kids, because when we buy a helmet, if we buy one of those that's like one size fits all kind of thing, they will grow out of it really quickly. This is a helmet that our kids have had for a very long time, because they can adjust it. Obviously, when they're really younger, the helmets, they will outgrow them eventually. But I would say, and you can always obviously do a hand-me-down to a friend, because then you know that the helmet is actually good, and you can tell them. And I would have taken that kind of helmet, but I wouldn't buy a secondhand helmet, I should say. So a helmet, you want to make sure it's not too snug under here, right, but it's also not so loose that if you end up unfortunately falling off your bike, that it falls off.
My rule of thumb with the kids is that you need to be able to get 2 or 3 fingers in there snugly. If it's really loose,
Yeah.
It's too loose. It's too easy to fall off.
Yeah.
But if you can get 2 or 3 fingers in there, it's probably not too tight either.
Yeah. So other like gears that we have, because we're biking in the city and we're biking in the wintertime when it's darker. Okay, James?
Yeah, so it's in my little bag here, but this is my little vest that I wear, reflective vest, because at least here it does get kind of dark early, so a lot of times I'm actually biking home in the dark, and so it's really, really easy for cars to see you with a reflective vest.
Yeah, so you also want to have a light in the front and a light in the back of your bike. You want to be as visible as possible, because the fact is that we usually don't bike around in really bright colors. We bike around in a little bit more muted colors. And when it gets a little dusk, it is harder for the bikes or for the cars and pedestrians or anyone to see you. And another thing, and I also want to say about biking, I forgot to say that, it's like, make sure that you have a good place to take your bike to get tuned up, because that will actually make sure that the bike is safer and also will last longer. And I would say that like we tune up, and because our bikes are outside in the winter and well, all year round, so it gets exposed to more elements, we make sure to tune up our bikes. But you can also learn. It is not that hard to learn how to fix a chain that's fallen off, how to fix a flat tire. It's not really hard. It's messy, but it's not that hard. But also, you want to maintain your bike to be as good as possible, and especially when it comes to the kids' bike. All right.
So let's talk about getting around with kids.
Yes.
Right? So when getting around with kids, the seats are the most important thing to really think about. So when they're really little, I think about the seat on the bike. Sometimes they're behind, right? And you have those like multi-point harnesses to get them strapped in.
It's a seat that you put in the front or the back.
Yeah. Sometimes they're in the front, which can be kind of fun because you can look at them.
But they can also see more than just a butt.
That is true. That is true. Then as they get a little bit older, we had the little cart that we pulled behind. That's kind of fun because if they can kind of sit back there on their own, you can have books and even snacks.
They can have a blanket. They can be a little bit more comfortable, but also you can have 2 kids. At least the one we had, because at one point, obviously, we have 3 kids. So at one point, we actually had Noah and Liam, and actually at one point it was Bella and Noah sitting together, which means that they can entertain themselves, have a lot of fun. You can bring books, you can bring snacks. So it's a little easier than when you have a seat in the back. But the seat in the back is for when they are babies. And then I would say that once they get a little bit older, then the little cart. After the cart, actually, we went to a cargo bike because the kids were older. And the cargo bike is fantastic. We loved it, and we were really sad when we sold it, but none of the kids were sitting in it anymore. But it has like a little bucket in the front. And even you can put in some rain cover and everything. But the best part is we could bike to the farmer's market and put actually groceries in it because it's big enough. And they were comfortable. And again, harnessed, so they are sitting safe, but they were sitting in the front. So for them, this was really, really exciting. And the bike was actually created so we could actually take all 3 kids on the bike if we have to. We didn't do that very often because Bella biked.
And that is the goal, right? Is to get the kids biking on their own.
Yeah.
And we did take one step in between where we also had a tandem bike for a while. So if you're feeling like they can bike, but maybe not quite ready to be on their own in traffic, tandem bike is great because then they really feel like they're fully into the biking thing. And then obviously the goal is to get them biking between the 2 of you safely around town.
Okay, so let's talk about safety when you're biking around town, because believe it or not, there are a lot of them. So first of all, when it comes to kids, when we started biking, now our kids are really good at and feel confident on biking. But in the beginning, we would have one of us in the front and one of us in the back, and the kids would kind of be in between. It's kind of like the whole animal, moving the kids along, because then we can keep an eye on making sure, like especially Noah will have a tendency to bike out. Liam will have a tendency to just cross other bike lanes without looking. So you can keep an eye on that. But also practice the hand signals with the kids, because you can't really hear really well when you're out biking. So, the stop, left, right, faster, slower, whatever it happens to be. And one thing that James had to learn the hard way, because he did not grow up biking as much as I did growing up in Sweden, is like never, ever, ever, ever stop with kids in an uphill. They will get furious because it's really hard for them to start again when you're in uphill. So if you're going to stop like flat or downhill is a much better option. So, but just go through your kids what these things mean. and why it is important to stand in line and to stand to the to bike to the right, so you're not wearing into traffic and stuff like that. So anyway, but let's talk about just biking in the city in all weathers. Yeah. Okay, so obviously, yes.
Should we talk about the white lines?
Yes.
Right? So a lot of times, at least here in Stockholm, I think in most cities, you'll have those painted lines, right, for either crosswalks or along the side of the road. Those can be really, really slippery, and they can be a little bit of a surprise if you're starting to turn and you cross those. I've seen many people kind of spill out on their bikes, right?
I haven't seen too many of them, but I have actually had I had to rescue a food delivery guy. And I want to say that here in Sweden, not only are the people who just, get going from places, they're on bikes, but they actually have food delivery on bikes. They also have package delivery. Like Amazon is actually delivered by a bike truck. I don't know how to explain it. I can see if I can find a video to show you guys. So, but anyway, so you want to be careful because biking in snow has one set of problems. It is that the snow would kind of like actually gear your wheel and not necessarily
groove them.
Yes, not necessarily always forward. You can hit one of those and suddenly your bike will do something. So you have to bike a little bit slower and hold on really good.
I think that's the key. Bike a little bit slower, take your turn slowly, look out for those white lines.
Yeah, because we have not had a lot of snow this winter, but we have had a lot of ice. And ice are a little scary because you can't really necessarily see them. So you want to take the turns a little bit more, just careful.
Especially then.
Yeah, and slower. And like I said, the white lines are more slippery for some reason. If anyone knows why, please let us know. But so take those.
I think it's just the paint on the gravel. The gravel is so designed for gripping wheels, but the paint, there's just no way to make grippy paint. You're gonna have to work on that. Maybe
that's a good
our
adventure.
daughter will become a chemist and invent that.
Yes. Well, no chemicals. Anyway, yes. So these are the things that just makes it a little bit more safer for when you're biking in the city. And I would say you can definitely bike all year round. So let's talk about clothes when you're biking in colder weather. I would say, so we actually did a lot of biking this summer, and sometimes it will be warmer and some will be colder. So first of all, always pack a raincoat, and you can have one of those little small ones that usually look like kind of like this. That you could just put over your gear. And I would say have a plastic, if you have a backpack, I would recommend having a plastic cover you can put on your backpack that will keep it dry. But that way you can put on a rain jacket really, really quickly if you have those surprise rains. But layers, dress in layers, because you will start off maybe being a little colder. And then as you bike, and you will know that because you bike to work, and that's pretty far, right?
Yeah, that's like 12, 15 kilometers, and so, or about 8 miles. And so you definitely start out with one set of layers, and by the time you get to work, you need to peel at least one of those off. Yeah,
so having the layers really, really, really helps. And preferably, like, you want to have layers that are like sitting pretty snug, and even they can absorb sweat if you're biking in the wintertime, so you don't get cold because you get wet from the sweat, because it is like hard work to bike, especially in the wintertime. You will have to pedal a little bit harder. So these are some of our tips, and I'm sure you have some more tips, and I'm sure we forgot like at least half of them. But so if you have any more tips, please put it in the comment below, and I will highlight it. Otherwise, I hope this video was helpful, and if it was, give us a thumbs up, subscribe, share, and come back for more fabulous zero waste, sustainable, and money saving tips. Bye.
Enjoy biking.